off your engine! Well, here we go with problems with the Corvette C8, the mid-engine Corvette. It turns out that now they're having leaky transmissions. There's a man with a transmission that started leaking with only 568 miles on it. And here is the absolute height of absurdity. Brand new. Got that little bit of miles. The transmission's leaking. Took it to the dealer. Well, we don't have a gasket for it yet. We can't get one yet. Here they are, building these things. They don't even have parts, supplies for it. Let's see, people. They're building them in a factory. Obviously, they're putting them together in a factory. There are obviously gaskets in the factory. But the dealer can't get it. Now, if their setup is that piss poor, they're building these expensive cars, and they can't even get a gasket for it. They're obviously out there. They're building them, and it must be that they're using crappy gaskets. The things are leaking already. That just shows the epitome of low quality that General Motors has these days. If they can't even make a transmission gasket that doesn't leak on a car, their quality is just... I love driving around. I had 2 customers bring me them. I drove them around. They were fun cars. But in that video, I even warned people. Let's see how they held up over time. Well, they don't seem to be holding up all that well. They're leaking that fast. And they haven't produced that many of them either. Imagine if they were making hundreds of thousands of them. It would probably be even worse. But it just basically shows the overall perspective of General Motors is quality is not high on the list for these people. And it's sad. These guys are paying all these money for these cars, and the transmissions are leaking with 567 miles on the car, and they can't get them fixed because they can't get the part. Even though they're obviously making the parts. But the bureaucracy of the dealership with their parts department can't get one directly, because I suppose they have to go through hoops to jump through to get something on a new car. They're building them. They got gaskets. If I'd owned one of those, I'd say, go to the factory, pick it up, overnight it to me. Okay? Come on, people. Worn Out says, I watch your videos. I'm an industrial maintenance person. Chrysler Kenosha engine plant retired, still working after 45 years. I've come to the conclusion that the entire vehicle industry has conspired to brainwash society into buying things they do not need. Yes, I'm cheap, but am I wrong? I see what happens in a billion-dollar engine plant. Base product vehicles, top-of-the-line vehicles are all the same in a way. Yeah, you got a really good point there. You know, people are just selling nonsense to people. Oh, look, you can put your foot under the bumper, kick it, and the rear opens up. Well, that stuff's going to break, of course, you know? I mean, it's just gotten to a point of absurdity. It's just the sales thing. It's all the image. Sell all the stuff. Make the price go up. And then when they come up with a new vehicle that's popular, throw all the crap on that, make them buy it. And if they don't like it, too bad, you're selling them. We're not going to make any base models. We'll only make the fancy models. Yes, it certainly seems to have gone insane. They've been carried away with adding all things on that really aren't all that necessary, and making a level of complexity that when they do break, it's going to cost so much money to fix that a lot of these cars today, truthfully, are becoming disposable cars. When they reach 80, 90, 100,000 miles, you'll find that the repairs on the poorly made ones are more than the vehicle's worth, so you will throw it away. But they're not giving them away. You're still spending, $30,000, $40,000 on the car. So I tend to agree with you, and I love it that somebody who actually was a maintenance guy at the Chrysler engine plant is telling this stuff. More people out there that do this stuff, come on, share your information so everybody can see what's happening from the inside out, like I am from a mechanic's perspective. Well, you might hear me railing about how bad Fiats are. Well, here's the ultimate horrendous Fiat. Turns out there's a Florida man who got arrested for insurance fraud because he deliberately got rid of his Fiat 500. And it was found in a canal with a large rock on the accelerator and the steering wheel tied, so it would drive itself into the canal. Sean Barnes, who's 28 years old, is accused of sinking his car to get insurance money. Now, he was squealed on by a witness who was there and saw the whole thing happen. Now, this was in December 29, 2017. So I guess the wheels of justice in Florida move rather slowly. I can't blame the guy. The poor guy had a Fiat 500. I had a customer with one. He bought it for his daughter. She was driving the thing to college, and the engine blew up on the way. They're terrible cars. They don't sell them in the United States anymore. And if you don't know anything at all about cars, learn one thing, and that is do not buy a Fiat 500. Now, I guess the real reason it took so long was because this Fiat 500 was only dredged from the canal last month. And then they kind of wondered, hey, there's a rock on the accelerator and the steering wheel's tied so it goes in one way and go into the canal. He said it was stolen from his driveway, the owner. I don't even think thieves are dumb enough to steal a Fiat 500. And the funny thing was, he wasn't even up to date on the payments for this stupid thing. A little irony here. He drove it to a boat ramp, next to the boat ramp, put the rock on, it seems, tied the steering wheel, and it drove into the canal and sank. Must have been a reasonably deep canal because nobody saw it. It wasn't until he was squealed on that they caught it. But the moral of the story is, hey, don't try insurance fraud. And in the first place, don't buy a Fiat 500. Well, if you're thinking about getting a 2021 Chevy Tahoe or Suburban and you want to make it a little zippier, well, guess what? Now GM has official performance parts for them. There's a new catalog that you can get all performance parts for these full-size SUVs direct from Chevrolet. You can get a $625 performance air intake. They say that it reduces air restriction by 17% for the 6.2-liter engine. And for a little pizzazz, there's a red air filter and a clear cover for the air box if you want to have it look cool when you open up, look in the engine bay. And there's also a performance exhaust system that reduces back pressure by as much as 30%. Now, of course, you're never going to make these things zoom around like some of the serious European SUV sports vehicles that are out there, but it's going to make them a bit zippier than they are out of the factory. Of course, this stuff isn't cheap. If you have a single outlet tip with a performance one, it's $2,100. And if you want a dual tip one, that frees up 4 horses, and it's $28.95. So these things aren't cheap. They're not giving them away. I'll say that much for them. And the last one is an upgraded brake kit. For $28.95, you get 6-piston Brembo calipers. They clamp down on bigger rotors. And of course, this isn't going to make it as fast as a Hellcat. There's no way. There's bigger engines. It's a way that you can improve performance on one of these things over the stock, using Chevy parts that are designed for the vehicle, and you're not just guessing at, gee, is this going to mesh with my computers and stuff? This stuff will, because it was designed by Chevrolet. Bad Car Guy says, hey, I got a problem. I got a 2006 Subaru Legacy. A mechanic has had it sitting on his property for a really long time. He's letting me make payments because he's taking so long to finishing the problem, he says. Should I take his word, or should I just pull it from his property and sell it? I'd say pull it from his property and sell it, or find a proper mechanic. You have a guy who's something sitting there forever. You don't want to deal with people like that. Either you get something fixed or you don't get it fixed. Over the years, I've seen people tow me cars that have been sitting in a guy's lot for like 6 months, and, oh, we can't figure out what's wrong. Look, they can build a car in a few hours. And if a guy's got the car for months and he's not fixing it, he's either not interested in fixing it, or he doesn't know how to fix it, or he just doesn't care. Take it away and get rid of the thing. Ask your friends. Maybe they know a better mechanic. It could be something perfectly simple. I've seen people bring me cars like that, and in 2 hours I got it running and said, look, it was just this, the way it goes. If you can find a better mechanic, great. But if not, take it from him and sell the stupid thing. Don't ever let a car sit that long with somebody. It's foolish. You don't want to get involved in those kinds of relationships. That's why it's good to find a good mechanic. If you do, tell all your friends. Everybody can share it. That's how I got my business. I never spent a penny advertising. It was all word of mouth. So go by word of mouth. Find another mechanic if you can to fix it. If not, just get it and sell it. Never deal with that guy again. Jim says, is underspray rust proofing worth the money? Does it prevent rust? I purchased a Hyundai Palisade, and of course the dealer's trying to sell me a rust proofing for $1,500. Does it work? I take my cars to the car wash once a week in the winter, and my other car's 13 years old, never had any rust proofing, and isn't rusty. Most modern cars, you're throwing your money away, wasting $1,500 having them rust proof the car. They're just selling you junk. They're probably paying, who knows, $400 or something to have it done and making a profit. Modern cars are made correctly. Take my mother's 2007 Toyota Corolla in Buffalo. It has no rust on it. It's never had anything touched other than what was done in the factory. They have that zinc-based primer. When they build them, they go into a bath. It's electrostatic, so it binds even inside the frame. They don't rust. You're throwing your money away unless you're buying some pile of junk made somewhere where they don't build them right in the first place. Yeah, you want to rinse the salt up because you get chips and cuts. Eventually that'll do some damage, but the real zinc proofing when they build the good vehicles, they're not going to rust because it's inside and outside the metal parts of the frame, and you don't have any worries. What you're going to see on those cars is more surface rust. The brake rotors are bare metal, bare steel. Of course, they'll rust on the outside because you'll see them. Doesn't hurt anything. But the actual parts that have been coated and painted, they're not going to rust. Don't throw your money away on that nonsense. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.